right, my talk today it's called Co-Creating with God. It's one of our unity principles. But co-creating, the term, co-creating is a relatively new term. And when you say co-creating, people are like, what? But it's more just about consciously choosing what we do next. When we have God in our hearts, and we're thinking on those good things, those pure things, those loving things, what we do next tends to be different than when we do not have God in our hearts. And instead we're focusing on conditions and the limitations around us. So in our 5 principles from this wonderful book, we have our first principle is that God is all things. Second principle is that because God is all things, that means me. That means you, that means everything, and our dreams, and our inspirations, and our ideas. Then the third principle is that we create like our Creator. We create with our Creator. So we're made in the image and likeness of our Creator. How could we not be creative? We are like what we come from. Like the little acorn may look nothing like the mighty oak tree, but it will grow into a mighty oak tree because that's what it comes from. It's not going to grow into a piano or a sunflower. It grows into like what it came from. So we are here to create in our lives like God created in the universal, and that God creates through intention and action. Now, we get this idea of God creating through intention and action. It comes from the book of John in the 1st chapter, where it reads, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, the word word comes from the word logos in Greek, which means intention and activity, or getting a plan and following through on it. Okay? If you read the Genesis creation story, there was very intentional creation in that story, right? Let there be light. Not let's throw out a handful of stardust and see what happens. Okay? It was very intentional. So we are creating like our Creator, and as the Creator is always in creation mode, we are also always creating. However, sometimes we are creating without putting a single thought into it. Right? We're creating from our fears, or we're creating from our perception of limitation. We're choosing fear. And so if we're choosing from fear, that changes the next thing that we do. Now, I think it's probably safe to say that most of us would have an overarching goal in our life of creating more joy, creating more vitality, deeper relationships, abundance, prosperity. But we do create where our focus is. Like in the Genesis creation story, let there be light, right? There's a focus on what happens next. So we want to look at where we're focused. Where's our focus? Right? Is it on the conditions in our life? Is it on the places where we feel stuck? Is it on the places that we think aren't working out? Or are we focusing on the wonder that is God? Are we focusing on struggle and obstacles? Or are we focusing on the fact that we can call forth grace? Do we focus on that grace that gives us whatever we need? Do we decide to call forth solutions? Right? And inspirations that always change what we do next. So we're always creating in this life. We're always creating that next experience, but we are not always creating from a place of faith. So that's what I'm basically going to talk about today, are a couple of things that we can do, and when we make the choice to do those things, we are creating from faith, and we are calling forth more good into our life. So I have a quote from the Buddha, and this is that's me, isn't it? Okay. In the Buddha wrote, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him. If a man speaks or acts with a pure thought, happiness follows him. Now, I think in spiritual circles, there are a lot of us that love that quote. And we love other quotes like that. We talk about how thoughts are things. Change your thinking, change your life. What you think about, you bring about. But those all do imply, like if you think about something, then it'll happen. But I think we could all probably say that's not always the case. We'll think about something we would like to see happen in our life, and then it doesn't happen. Nothing in our life changes. So I found a verse that kind of gives us a little clarity on this. It's from Proverbs. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, in the time of Moses, in the time of Jesus, our ancestors believed that the heart was the thinking faculty in the body, right? And now it's only believed that thinking happens up in this area because it's where our eyes are and where our ears are. So we have senses up here, so we feel like thinking must also happen up here. But for thousands of years, mankind believed we thought right here from our heart. That's why in Proverbs it also says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are all the issues of life. So our thoughts do influence how we create, but so do our feelings. Our feelings also influence how we create. In this book on the 5 principles, Ellen Davenport writes, imagine yourself as a tuning fork. Your feelings in any given moment set up a vibrational tone. The universe picks up on the tone and hums along, amplifying your sound. Now this can sound kind of new agey, but it's also science now. It is also science. But we have also, every one of us have had the experience of walking into a room and feeling the vibe in there and wanting to just turn around and walk back out, right? We've picked up on a vibe. We've been talking about vibes for a long time, right? Or we find somebody we want to sit with and the vibe is just so good. We just want to sit there, right? So we're putting off a vibe. But we're thinking and we're feeling together. But we could be thinking something like, I want more money. I want to make more money. I want to make more money. Things are getting really expensive. Oh my gosh, do you see how much housing's going up? So I'm going to say my affirmations. I am rich beyond measure. God is the source of my supply. Yeah, because I really need to make some money. I need more supply in my life. Man, did you see the bills stacked over there on my desk? So I am a divine child of a loving, generous creator. Because, man, I'm going to need some more money. Like, we're going to handle this next inflation. Man, inflation. So we go back and forth between our thoughts and our emotions, our feelings. We go back and forth between our thoughts and our feelings. And our feelings are what speak the loudest. So it's our feelings then that start driving our bus. Our feelings have the biggest impact on what we do next. Think about something in your life that you knew you needed to do something about it. And you thought it out in your head. You got really clear. Yeah, I need to do this thing because it'll have all these good effects in my life. And if I don't do this thing, there could be some repercussions I don't want to deal with. And then you get up Monday morning and you're thinking, and you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today. Right? So our feelings, our feelings are driving our bus. With our thinking mind, we can get really clear on what it is that we want to create. But our feelings will go to, well, yeah, but that's going to be a lot of work, and it could be heavy, and I might not have enough time. I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed right now. All right, so co-creating with God is about our thoughts, and it is about our feelings, but it's also about the power of shifting our focus. Right? We control what we focus on. Like all of us in this room right now, we could decide to focus on this wall, and we would turn and look at this wall and say, okay, now I'm going to focus on the beautiful window over here. And we decide to focus on the window. It's our thoughts that make us do that. I didn't stand here and think, I feel like looking at the wall. Right? Our thoughts help us shift our focus. The thing is that we're also taught to think a certain way, and we're also kind of programmed to think a certain way, because we have what's called the negative bias. And this served our ancestors really well. It served them so well. They would go out of their cave in the morning and scan the environment for anything that could eat them. And they did so well with this that they had babies, and then they had babies, and then they had babies. And here we are, all because our ancestors paid attention, and they scanned their environment to see if there was something out there that would eat them. But then we're also taught that. We're taught to troubleshoot. We're taught to worry about things. We're taught to ward off impending doom. And then that's what we're focused on. And if we're thinking about impending doom and we're focusing on impending doom, pretty soon we're going to feel anxious over that impending doom. And there goes all of our energy into that. So it can be a challenging shift to go from that focus into the things that bring us happiness. So Jesus had explained, everything that you could possibly want or need, seek first the kingdom within, and then all that will be added to you. So what he was instructing basically was, you seek the kingdom within. Don't focus on impending doom. Don't focus on the things that worry us. So when we focus on the kingdom within, we're focusing on the wonder that is God. The wonder that is God working through us, for us, as us, and also out in our life. There's so many things we could look back on over this last week. Miracles, answered prayers, being inspired, receiving an inspired desire, and then experiencing signs, wonders, synchronicities that guide us to create more good in our life. That's happening. So we shift our focus to that. And if we're focusing on any of those good things, we're calling forth more good into our life. So the first thing, one of the first things that we do when we get up in the morning is we can remember that our feelings, anything we're feeling throughout the day, our feelings are just our inner guidance system. Right? Our feelings, we always know how we feel. If we're in resentment, obligation, in vengefulness, right? That's not going to feel good, and we know when we don't feel good. So we just do a pivot or a course correct. So this is when we know we're shifting our thinking from the doom and gloom and the foreboding things, and we focus on the wonder that is God. That's how we walk by faith. When we're focused on conditions, that's when we start walking by sight, and we don't hear our guidance as clearly. We don't choose very wisely that next thing to do that will bring more goodness into our life. However, it can be hard to pivot from thinking of the scary things to thinking of the things that bring us happiness if we have things going on in our life, like maybe a loved one is really sick, or we have health issues, or there's financial issues, or relationship issues. When those things are going on, we tend to put a lot of focus on those. This is also why Jesus said, don't judge by appearances. Do not judge by appearances. That's just one more way of saying don't focus on the problem. See, there's one thing about the problem, any problem we could pick in our life. That problem does not have the power over us to keep us from making a choice that would bring more good into our life. All right, it could pour rain outside, but that cannot take away your power to decide to use an umbrella or to maybe just stay inside and watch Netflix all day. Right? It cannot take away the rain, no matter how bad it's pouring, it cannot take away your power of choices. Right? So whatever is going on, this is why Jesus also shared with his disciples, all these things I do, you will do this and more. Because he was basically teaching the principles. God is all things, and that means me, and I'm divinely designed to be creating good in my life. God is working through me, for me, as me. We are all designed to call forth the same exact qualities that Jesus called forth in his life. Okay, as he embodied his Christ nature, he was teaching that you can embody your Christ nature if you choose how he chose, if you seek first the kingdom within, focusing on the good. So it is hard to do this kind of thing when things are scary in our life. So we have to consciously, we pay attention to our inner guidance system. What am I feeling? Then we have to use our thoughts to intentionally shift our focus. And the first thing we can focus on is the wonders of God in our own life. But then we can also focus on our desires, the experiences we want to create in our life. So we focus on the wonders that are God, the answered prayer, the miracles, the synchronicities, but we also want to focus on what it is that we desire to create in our life. Emily Cady, who is a Unity mystic, and she wrote the Unity classic, Lessons in Truth, she said, remember this, desire in the heart for anything is God's sure promise sent beforehand to indicate that it is yours already in the limitless realm of supply. Whatever you want, you can have for the taking. Desire is not selfish. Desire is what propels us to want more in our life, more good, to be more. Desire is what inspires improvements in our lives and in the world. So your soul gives you a desire. The soul wants to have a new experience, right? The soul, we are all about having new experiences to call forth more good, to be the activity of God in this world, show everybody how we're the hands and the heart and the feet of God in this world. So our soul inspires us with a desire. We receive the desire, and we think about it. It goes right into our imagination. And we try it on in our life, in our imagination. Right? We do that all the time. Even if you just want to rearrange your living room, you go into your imagination first. It's like, how would I like the living room if I moved the stuff around? Or got all new furniture? Right? You go into your imagination first. How does it feel? How does that feel? So we're inspired all the time for different things, not just big things, right? Like we may desire a new job, we may desire to move, into an island in the tropics, but we may also just desire to get a new puppy or read a book. Maybe we're just desiring to sit and listen to some classical smooth jazz, right? And just get some good rest. So you feel that inspired desire. You go into your imagination, you try it on, you're trying it on, see how it feels. You feel good, and that's how you know it's soul-inspired desire. Not all desires are divine in origin. They're not. But we're going to feel different with those desires. Like, I really want to take vengeance out on somebody, right? I really need to figure out a way to manipulate and control somebody so they'll do what I want them to do, right? Those desires, they do not feel good, and they are definitely not soul-inspired. A soul-inspired desire, we're changing our own self to become our next brightest self. We're changing our life for the good, and we're making changes that also radiate good out into the lives of the people that we love. So inspired desire, where does it come from? God is all things, and that means me. That means my desires. That means my inspirations, right? And so your desire is already yours in the realm of limitless supply. It's already yours. If you want it, God wants it for you. If you want it, God wants it for you. So when we focus on our desires, we activate our thinking faculties, but we're also activating our feeling faculties. They're working together, and we're feeling happy about that. So now we're deeper in faith. We're creating a little bubble where we can grow our own faith. Because if it's a soul-inspired desire, it is already ours. We may have to take many steps to get it. We may have to change our life and take different actions. Most of our soul-inspired desires do not just appear out of the ethers for us, right? There'll be things that we do need to do, but when we're trying it on and it feels really good, it will bring along with it the means for its creation, right? We're not just given this beautiful desire and then just like have a carrot constantly hanging in front of us that we can never do anything about. Greg Braden, he wrote this book. It's called Secrets of the Lost Mode of Prayer. The only book in my life, in all my years of reading books, that I have read more than this book is Goodnight Moon. Yeah, I've read that book so many times. It's so good. But Greg Braden, he's like this anthropologist, archaeologist person. He's done like so much research, and he dove into some of the original transcriptions of the books of the Bible when they found them. They found them like in the Middle East in the Nag Hammadi codexes and in some different old manuscripts. And so there's a verse, we've all heard this from the book of John. All things that you ask straightly from my name, you will be given. So far you have not done this. Ask for what you want, ask and receive, so that your gladness may be full. But there are a couple of sentences left out of this King James version. Right? The original translation of this verse, all things that you ask straightly, directly from inside my name, you will be given. So far you have not done this. Ask without hidden motive, and be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by what you desire, that your gladness be full. So we have to ask for what we really want without hidden motive. right? Not what we think we should have, or not the thing that we think will make everybody love us, or, well, maybe I just want an easy way to make some money, right? We don't ask for shortcuts. We don't ask for little things like that where we'd be settling. We ask for what it is we really, really want. What is that soul-inspired desire that you were given? We ask for that. Then we receive that idea. We've received that inspiration. So ask without hidden motive. Be surrounded by your answer. When we ask, we receive. And when we ask for something in our life, we don't receive that thing right away. What we receive is the direction to create that in our life. So we ask, and then we're surrounded by our answer. How are we guided? Not all inspiration is an answer that came inside of our head. Sometimes we overhear a song that inspires us. It's like, whoa, I hadn't thought about that. Or we overhear a conversation in the elevator. Or you flip open a book and you read something in the book. Right? This one, ask a question and flip this book open. Okay? There's a lot of good stuff in here. Okay, then be enveloped by your desire. That again is just going into our imagination, imagining that desire in our life. How does it feel? What will our life look like when we've created that experience? When we are imagining doing this new thing, we feel it as if it is already so. Right? We feel it. It's true. Now we have to be able to do that. We have to be able to imagine it and feel as if it is so. Because it's that experience of feeling it as true, it amps up our faith, and that's how we're guided the next thing to do in our lives. That's how we start getting inspiration for the new activity. Because right now, we have a life, each of us have a life, and there's something we desire that's not in that life. We have to change what we're doing in our own life to expand our life to include that. That's what we have to do. So somebody who's home all the time, but they want to have a new romantic relationship, but they never go anywhere, or their friends are like, "Hey, I can set you up," and they're like, "No, I just want to sit home. I'm just waiting for my soulmate to knock on my door." Right? They have to do something different. If they ask, "I want a new partner," then if the friend invites them to a birthday party or something, it's like they go. They've got to do something different, right? To expand their own life, to include this new thing that they want to have, this new experience. So it's not just knowing what we want. We also have to be able to feel it, right? Remember, the universe, it hums along with our vibration and amps it up. So we have to be able to feel what we really desire. Now I'm going to give the law of attraction an honorable mention right here. Because the spiritual circle's like, oh yeah, thanks Rhonda Byrne in the movie The Secret back in 2003 or something, right? We love talking about the law of attraction. And again, it's just like attracts like, the universe hums along with us, but it's really it's about our mindset. If we have a positive mindset, we tend to face all of our challenges, even with a positive mindset. And so we tend to be more open to solutions. We tend to be more open to the things that happen in our life that support us and help move us along. If we have a negative mindset, we might be in the same circumstance, but we're not aware of opportunities. We're not aware of things that could help us move forward. So with the law of attraction, it's not necessarily, oh, you broke your toe, you must have been thinking a negative thought. Okay, it's really about our experience, how we experience that next thing we do. So often we want a why. Why did this thing happen? And we want somebody to blame. It's like, oh, well, if I could blame my past life karma, then it kind of gets me off the hook with all this stuff, right? But it doesn't. None of that gets us off the hook. There are things that have happened in our lives, probably for most of us, all of us probably, that we wish would never have happened. We just wish they would not have happened. But if we decide we're going to keep blaming something that caused that to happen, or if we're going to keep looking for a why, we really are disempowering ourselves. Because then we're not allowing that grace to work through us. We're not allowing ourselves to be in alignment with that kingdom within us, so we can create from joy and love and vitality. We are here to be empowered creators. We are empowered, calling forth our greatest good, calling forth all those Christ qualities that Jesus talked about all the time, calling forth the mercy and the love and the compassion and the generosity and the goodness, the sweetness of life. We're not going to be very empowered creators if we keep looking at, well, I'm going to have to just blame this thing. Or like, why? Why? Oh, why? Please, why did this happen? That just keeps us stuck in the conditions. And when we're stuck in the condition, it means we're focused on the condition. We're going to be feeling into that condition. We're walking by sight. Then we're walking by sight. You know, something else to consider as we're creating a life here. We're creating a life along with 7.67 billion other people. And they're not always going to agree with us, right? We may think we know how it all should be, but there's always going to be someone who thinks it should be different. So things happen. Things do happen in our life. And our focus, it might end up going like to blame, or why did this thing happen? And we'll feel disempowered. But we're not here to be disempowered creators. We're here to be empowered creators. So what if, over this next week, what if we decided, all right, every morning when I get up, I'm going to remember these three things. God is all things, and because God is all things, that means me and my ideas and my soul-inspired desires and the synchronicities that happen in my life. And I am divinely designed to be a creator, right? Co-creating with God. Each of us, we're divinely designed to bring more good into this world because we are like what we come from. We are like what we come from. Whatever is going on right now, there's something within us. There's that within us that knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels us to act on what it knows. In fact, I have that as an affirmation. And Kevin will flip to that next page now, and we can all say it together. Let's say it together. There is that within me that knows what to do, how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. Thank you, Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind manual textbook. So there is a source. You know, if you read that affirmation, there is a source within us of inner resourcefulness, solutions, ideas, inspiration. When we can remember these principles, God is all things, and that means me, and I'm divinely created to bring more good into this world. And then we remember our feelings are our internal guidance system. We always know how we feel. If we are not feeling great, if we're not feeling loving, we need to course correct. That's all. We just do a pivot. Course correct. Right? Our feelings are just telling us, change your mind. Focus on something else. So we always know how we feel, so we use our thoughts, the power of our brain, to shift what we're focusing on. Because that's what that means. We need to shift our focus. That's all. We focus on the miracles in our life, on the answered prayer, right? On our inspirations and the synchronicities and the signs and the wonders. And then we call forth more good through us. Think about what was created through you recently that you are so proud of. I talked with somebody yesterday, and she shared something she was so happy about that she did. She found a new hiking trail in Redlands and took her dog there, and she had a really good time. That's how we're creating a life. We just make new choices and we do new things that bring us more joy, that just make us feel excited about our life. Finding a new hiking trail, that's not a huge thing, but it's a happy thing. You know, for the right person. I know not everybody is going to do that, but it's those things that feel good that change the appearance of our life and call forth more good into our life. So we can do that. Think about that thing that you did, and this is another way we can empower ourselves, right? We tend to look at gratitude as, oh, I'm so happy and grateful because this thing out there happened to me. Oh, I'm so lucky that that happened. But what about, I'm so happy and grateful that I thought to do this thing. I'm so happy and grateful that I acted on my idea. I am so happy and grateful that I listened to inspiration. right? We have a lot more to do with the things to be grateful for in our lives than we give ourselves credit for. Because what are we? God is all things, and that means we are each an emanation of God, divinely designed to be creating all these experiences. So it's all of these things. It's paying attention to our inner guidance system. It's shifting our focus from the doom and the gloom, and instead focusing on the wonder that is God, and pouring our energy into our inspired desires, so we are feeling really happy and feeling so much faith over that. It's doing those things that empower you. It's doing those things that empower you to create a life of joy and happiness and vitality and goodness. It's doing all those things that allow you to step forth as the powerful creator that you came here to be. As a soul, you never ever said, oh, I just want to come to this planet to get stepped on and squished. No soul ever said that, right? We came here to express the glory that is God. We came here to be the heart and the hands and the feet of God in this world, not some little lesser version of that. That's how we're creating being heaven on earth, right? Being a divine designer, right? That's how we create heaven on earth. So until next time, remember that. You are divinely designed to do all of this stuff, right? You are the heart and the hands of God in this world, and everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Now we have another song for you.